This episode of the Beauty Industry podcast was brought to you by Minx Bronzing and Cosmetics, where tanning is not just a beauty essential, it's a lifestyle. Hello and welcome to the Beauty Industry podcast, your online support community for the professional beauty industry. I am your host, founding director of Beauty Industry, Tamara Shaw. Here we are closing the competitive gap and speaking your language. This is a platform created and dedicated to the professional beauty industry, valuing community over competition. We serve to help connect you with inspiration from industry experts, expand your knowledge through educational pieces, and bring you the latest in product and technology innovation. This is Beauty Industry. Today's guest I met when I asked our Facebook group if there were any beauty businesses who wanted to sponsor our Melbourne brunch event back in December 2018. Monica Griffin generously put her hand up, and that's where we started a beautiful industry friendship. Monica is the boss lady at Miss M by Minx Bronzing and Cosmetics, and you'll see today by our conversation why I needed to bring her to your ears. She's down to earth, as humble as they come, and is passionate about supporting beauty business owners and the industry. Monica is a spray tan queen, and today not only does she talk all things spray tan, but she is also so kind in opening up and sharing with us some of the struggles that she has gone through and continues to go through as a business owner, which is quite refreshing in podcast land. You'll hear me fangirl on this episode, as I've been a lover of the range since I very first tried their products, and full disclosure, other than the ad in the middle of the episode, all my praise of the product is truly authentic. Here's Monica and I. Monica, welcome to the Beauty Industry podcast.
Thanks so much for inviting me on, Tamara. I'm really thrilled to be here. I love what you're doing with Beauty Industry and seeing our fabulous industry come together as a community. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for coming and sharing and spending your time with us. Monica, you have accomplished so much in your career, which is why I wanted to get you on to have a chat today. And we're also going to explore that in the conversation. But as you all know, what I love to do is start at the beginning. So I'd love to find out from you when and where and how you entered into the beauty industry.
Well, I've always loved all things beauty, Tamara. You know, I remember as a little girl watching my mum apply her makeup, choosing which lippy to go with her outfit, and that sort of thing. You know, being the youngest of four with two older sisters, I used to do their makeup and hair and everything like that. So I think it was just sort of pretty much back then I didn't know, but fast forward a few years, I entered our industry when our children were just babies. They're 17 and 16 now, but my husband was a young police officer, and I'd just been diagnosed with a very serious disease that would be with me for the rest of my life. And being a young family, I had to work, but I was limited in what I could do. So I'd always wanted to learn how to do nail enhancements. So I contacted a local school, and cut a long story short, my salon life began. You know, I worked my way up to becoming a C&D education ambassador, which back then in the day was quite a big thing. So I worked into, a few different types of salons. I learned waxing and everything like that. So, yeah, it was sort of, I didn't know it back then, but now I wouldn't change anything, really. It's been great.
Amazing. So it's kind of like your limits through illness have propelled you to where you are now, and now you're the owner and founder of Minx Bronzing and Cosmetics, a product that I so much love.
Oh, thank you.
When did you realize that tanning was some kind of passion of yours and something that you decided that you really wanted to pursue along that career line?
Yeah, sure. Look, Tamara, back, 12 years ago, tanning was pretty much in its infancy. I was booked out months in advance with nail clients. I wanted to get off the tools as I'd never used a drill. So my shoulders and wrists were really starting to pack it in. I loved getting a spray tan. So, I had to think about it and I thought about it and I thought, I contacted another school and they were a supplier on the Gold Coast. And I did my tanning course then and introduced it to my clients with great success. So my Thursday nights, Friday mornings, and Saturday mornings were just jam packed with tanning clients. It was great.
Mm. Isn't it funny how the world of tanning has completely changed? Back,
So good.
so many years ago, it was like if you had a tan, you were poor or from not the best kind of family or social situation because most likely you were outside working hard. And so all of these beautiful, fair skinned people were seen to be really rich and affluent because they were indoors all day until I think it was Coco Chanel or somebody stepped
Correct.
out on a beach and got that tan. And then all of a sudden it was tanning is now fashion. It's crazy how the
Exactly.
landscape
Yeah.
has changed.
Yeah. Well, back in the 1920s, it was the properties of DHA was actually discovered in a hospital caring for
Mm.
diabetic children. They would give DHA to glucose intolerant children and they were coughing it up, coughing the mixture up. And the scientist then, or the doctor then, saw the tanning properties. And then Coco Chanel, fast forward a couple of 30 years or so, she sort of went out and, on the Caribbean and all that sort of thing. And having a tan then signified health, and decadence. And then they did the first tanning solutions in the 1950s in the US and used to tan people on the beach. And they were just horrifying, like
Mm.
orange, orange, orange. And so then the industry sort of died off a little bit. And then technology and scientific developments, cosmetic chemists and things like that really got their heads together. And it's been marvelous, um, all the different sorts of brands bringing out all different sorts of liquids, some heavy in oils, some, heavy in, coffee and those sorts of things to brighten the skin. So it's been great.
I remember the very first fake tan I ever did was 2003, nearly
Yes,
20 years ago now.
yes.
And oh my goodness, I had looked like I had melted chocolate
Yes.
smeared all over my legs. And that was back in the day when mini skirts were like hot and they had just come in from Supre.
Yes.
And I remember my mum looking at me, and I stayed over at a girlfriend's house and we rubbed this fake tan all over us. And obviously we thought, back then it was just like a white cream and you thought that it was
Yeah.
everywhere, and it was definitely nice and smooth and a great application. And only when you woke up in the morning did you realize where you had missed. And that was,
Oh,
of course, the big dark brown
yes.
kneecaps and the
Yeah.
orange ankles and things like that. But
Yeah.
it's come so far in the meantime.
Yeah, it has. It has. I remember I used to purchase ombre solaire gel and used to
Yes.
use that. Yeah. And even missing patches at the back of my knees and oh my goodness, it's
Yeah.
thank goodness we are where we're at now. So
Not walking Oompa Loompas like we used to
yeah.
be.
Well, I don't know about that,
Yeah, still some of them around.
Yes.
But talk to me about when that moment was for you that you kind of realized that you wanted to open your own wholesaling tanning company. Was it a real epiphany moment, or did it take quite a long time to get there and actually make that a real tangible company?
Yeah, look, a bit of both. It's actually a really interesting question, Tamara. In salon, I was actually using a very well-known brand. And one day I had to place an urgent order as I had a very large bridal party book in at the last minute, as they sometimes do. And I asked this particular company if they could tell me when my order might leave, stressing the urgency. And I was promptly told that their international orders were more important than mine, and it would leave
Ah,
when it was ready to leave. And educating others. At that time, I'd heard that this sort of customer service was pretty common standard. So I was like, hang on a minute, this is just wrong on so many levels. The salons are the front line. They're the ones that get companies to where they are. So I don't know, it might have been a bad day for me, but I came home and spoke to my husband, and that night Minx was born. Hours, days, weeks, months, and a truckload of money went into bringing our vision to life. We still laugh about when our first batch of liquid came from our manufacturer. We looked at each other and absolutely freaked out and going, oh my gosh, what have we done? How are we going to do this? But I've always been of the mindset, bite off more than you can chew and chew like mad so you don't bloody choke. And look, there's been plenty of tears and tantrums along the way. But fast forward a few years, it's been perfect for us as a family business. I've been able to be a mum, which is my most important job, and to also be a daughter. A few years ago, my dad was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of melanoma on the top of his head. Radiation treatment accelerated his dementia, and sadly, he passed away August last year. But then this year, my mum was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. So I've been able, it's been a blessing, like everything's fallen into place. I've been able to be there for them and care for them, and as well as run a business. I always say, if I've got my phone, I've got my office. So that's pretty much my little story of how it came about.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think, and even I'm guilty of this too. Sometimes on the podcast, all I ask is, and happens in lots of interviews, but all we generally ask is, how did you get there, and what are all the good points along the way? And sometimes we stop and actually realize all the hard work and the moments that we missed, or the birthdays that we forget, or the moments with our loved ones that we forget happened or that we missed along the way. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us, because it's refreshing to hear that not everything is a walk in the park. It does take time.
It does, and it's bloody hard work. Any business, and I think that's what brings you to where you are now. And you've just got to take it along the way. Like in those years when our kids were younger, our son used to play elite tennis. He doesn't anymore because he's had an injury. But we would sit there, for 4 hours at tennis training every single night in the car, and I would work while he was training. That's just what you do. You make it work. I'm up at 4 a.m. nearly every single morning, and I don't finish sometimes till 9, 10 o'clock at night. So, but that's what we do because we love what we do.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I just turned down a all expenses paid trip to South Africa for 4 weeks, and people are looking at me going, "You are crazy!" But in this time when beauty industry is in its infancy,
Certainly.
and what we're doing, you have to, because at the end of the day, when you're your own business owner, nobody's going to run the business for you, and you have to put in all of those long hours and bunker down and do the work so that, in a couple of years' time, I will be able to take that trip.
Exactly.
But when you start, it's your everything, and it does take all of those hours. And I think, it's so funny when people meet me and they go, "Oh my God, you're doing so well." And I'm like, no, look, I'm still in my spare bedroom, just chatting to people through a phone, And I think that Instagram and the Facebook and all of the kind of glossiness that we see in the filters, it's just not reality. And I love how refreshing and open and honest you are. And I thank you for that.
No worries.
So I can already tell half of the answer to my next question is that what makes Minx Bronzing and Cosmetics so different to any other tanning brand? And I can already hear that A, it's you because you're bloody fantastic, but B, it's that kind of customer service and I guess
Yeah.
appreciation for the professional salons. But I'd love to hear what your unique selling points are from the master herself.
From a business perspective, in the tanning industry, when you look at it as a whole, like from supermarket brands to chemist brands to salon only brands, not many of those companies are actually owned by women. The
Mm,
majority in Australia are owned by men. They actually are. So my question is, how does a man know what a woman wants on her skin? Like, I'm not a feminist by any means. I don't even take the damn bin out. But, you know, however, made for women by a woman is much better, and delivering exceptional customer service is a massive part of our business. I love to get to know our salon partners. I know all of them, most of them, by their first name. I know that they went to Bali last week. How was your Bali holiday? And this helps me work out how best we can best help their business. And I think our salon partners want from the brands that they choose to stock is a brand that they can believe in. You hear people say, oh, what's your hero product? We don't have a hero product. Our heroes are our salon partners. Salons want to know what we can do for them. So we try to create an experience from service to them experiencing our products' personalities because they've each got their own personality. You know, some companies actually seem to focus on their products, not their partners, and they forget what it's like to actually be in a salon, be on the floor. I don't. I don't forget that. I still get phone calls from clients. That 8 years ago. Oh, I need a tan, and I'm like, sorry, I can't help you. You know, we're also about caring for the skin. Statistically, 87% of our partners are skin therapists. And
mm.
recognizing that no two skins are the same is really important. Not everyone can wear a 2 hour tan and achieve a great result. I'm often saying to partners, your client comes to you for a reason, yeah? They trust you, they trust your judgment, they trust your knowledge and your expertise. You know, I up on my wall, I've got my intent, our company intent. And this may explain a little bit of our difference. Is up on my wall, I read it every single day, and it may just give you a little insight in our beliefs. There's three parts to it: our vision, our values, and our accessibility. So our vision is to be one of the most requested salon brands in Australia, to keep evolving into luxury tanning products, to accelerate and improve our industry, and to keep our brand a community. Our values are earn business, don't just expect it. Acknowledge and appreciate our partners and their customers, and show our brand's personality. To be accessible, I'm a woman creating luxury tanning products for women. We've always set out to be personable because I understand salon life isn't just 5 days a week, 9 to 5. It's 6 or 7 days a week from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. or later. I make myself available for our partners in their times. And I really think that's important. You salon owner, you get home and you go, oh, bugger, I didn't order this, I didn't order that. Our partners can shoot off a quick email, hey, Mon, I need this urgently. And they know I'll action it. I try to reply to emails within minutes, literally. I don't know. It may be an OCD thing. I can't stand seeing the little numbers on the email
That's like
things. Yeah,
me. I'm like,
yeah,
get away that little number on the app.
yeah. I can't cope. And I receive loads of messages on Facebook at all hours. So I make myself available for them in those hours for those who support us, and we made a decision early on to be salon focused. You will never find our products, and we've been asked loads of times, you'll never find our products in supermarkets or chemists, etc. I see that as competing with our partners, which is something that I personally refuse to do. I'd much rather the skin therapist recommend an at-home product for that client that will fit their needs and their wants and suit their skin, and ultimately be right for their skin. The clinic wins, and has a very happy client, and we're happy that everybody's happy. So
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you've said so many times there, and you may not have even realized that you've said it, but the word partners, I love that you're not calling them stockists.
no,
I hear that so often from
yeah,
wholesalers, oh, our stockists or our accounts, and that's exactly the way that I used to speak when I was repping or account managing, in calling them brand partners. And I still do to this day. When we get sponsors on, I call them brand partners. And I love that you're doing that as well, because it really is that. It is a partnership
yes,
between wholesaler and the business. And if they're
yeah.
selling your product and they're representing your brand, then they are a very good partner. After the break, Monica shares with us her tips to achieving the perfect spray tan and life lessons she wants every business owner to know so that you can thrive in your business. But first, a word from our sponsor. You can probably sense my excitement having Monica on the podcast, and that's because Minx Bronzing professional spray tans and self-tanning products have been an industry staple in many women's beauty routines, including mine, for over 8 years now. As Monica mentioned, they're 100% Australian made, and Minx Bronzing products are packed full of skin-loving ingredients so that you not only look good but feel good too. Tanning is not just a beauty essential, it's a lifestyle product for all skin tones, shapes and sizes, for embracing body confidence. Currently taking on new stockists, head to www.missmbyminx.com.au to find out more, or you can enter WELCOME20 at their online checkout for 20% off your purchase. And now, back to Monica.
Correct. That we are only as good as they are. And they're partners in our business, and we're partners in theirs. And as I said, salons choose to stock a brand, and that choice, a lot goes into that choice, as there's a lot. They've got to be able to get along with the company. The product still has to look good on the shelf, and obviously it has to move, but it is a partnership. Yeah.
Yeah. And I so appreciate how you're saying that you're available because you understand the nature of the industry, from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and being across all of the different channels. It's that's one of the biggest complaints that I've ever had in my repping days, was that, well, our busiest day is Saturday. How are your offices closed on a Saturday? Or, how are your offices closed on public holidays? Because we're the ones who are still working, we need things to keep running. And I really love that. And part of that reason as well is why with our membership program, I've opened it up so that you can watch videos, you can download resources at any time of the day, because I do some of my best work at like 1, 2 a.m. sometimes, and I'm sure most of our beauty business owners do as well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how many times I've done a troubleshooting at 10 o'clock on a Thursday night, or those sorts of things, because that's what you do.
You're exactly right. I'm wondering now, I'm going to show my naivety here in spray tanning. I just go and get a spray tan, then hope to God that it turns out well after I wake up in it. So I know that there are different bases and there are lots of different tans. Can you educate me, and perhaps people are in the same boat as me, what tans or skins are best for kind of tans and colors? I have no idea. Anything you could help me with here on would be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Look, there's lots and lots of different bases in tanning products. Some are black, blue, charcoal, caramel, red, violet, green. Green is your traditional. That was, out 10, 12, 15 years ago. Um, Tamara, I can only speak for our brand and our products, but our bases or bronzers or colorants are selected in a proprietary blend, with the end result being the bronzer of the spray tan liquid. And these bronzers actually serve roles. The the roles that they do play can be, instant gratification for the client. They step out going, oh my gosh, I look fabulous. Um, they also provide a guide for the therapist when they're spray tanning. And for us, they actually stain the skin. So they sit in a sweet spot in the stratum corneum. So in regards to our liquids, you know, our chocolate sun is actually the first liquid that we ever had manufactured, and it's our light to medium. It's most popular, and she contains green bronzers. So we break it down to skin tones and Fitzpatrick's. So with green bases are always best used on like redheads, people that sleep in your tan, and a lot of people still do sleep in their tan. Eclipse, she's our medium colour. She contains red and purple bronzers. So that's best suited to neutral skin tones and fits 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Midnight, that's when you're getting the darker liquids that have the higher percentage of DHA. So the darker liquids generally contain oils and those sorts of things, because the DHA is a lot stronger and it's a lot more drying on the skin. So Midnight, she contains charcoal red bronzers, and that's best suited to warmer skin tones. So your Fitzpatrick 3, 4, 5. Violet Sunset, she's my favourite. She's an ultra dark liquid, and she contains blue purple. She's best suited to pink and yellow skin tones, and Fitzpatrick Selection 2, 3, 4, and 5, depending on the depth. And again, it goes back to consultation and that sort of thing.
Amazing. Yeah. And so you have wholesale products and then also retail products as well to
Correct.
assist with the wholesale home care.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. You've got to prescribe home care, for your client. They can't, in my opinion, you're investing in a spray tan every week, but you'll go home and use sunlight soap on your body. You're not going to moisturize and those sorts of things. So, yeah, it's prescribing that right home care, or, if they want to top up, if they're going away and their skin's a little bit drier, recommend a lotion, for the instant color, the stronger DHA, and they'll get that moisturizing factor through that. Yeah.
Yeah. I always notice if I don't moisturize the next day, if I'm a little bit lazy, then I'm itchy. Like I'm so dry, and you can almost see my skin looks like a desert. I'm naturally dry anyway, but that's definitely a great tip. Is just, I know we all say it, moisturize, but the reality is that you go home and you don't do that, once you wash it off.
Right.
So I'm wondering if maybe you could give us I guess some maybe application tips for the professional spray tanners, and then maybe some retail tips that they can share with their clients to achieve a great spray tan.
Yeah, certainly. Look, a great spray tan depends on a number of things. So from a salon point of view, consultation is key. Regardless if that client comes to you weekly, you will see a difference on their skin. If they've changed their medication, they'll look a little bit drier, or have some breakouts, or they've got a bit of old tan around their neck, around their armpits, and that sort of thing. Consultation is such an important part of any salon service, as you know. And choosing the right liquid for that client, advising correct rinse off time to achieve what the client expects, and of course using tan dry setting powder so the client doesn't have any rub off. And then again, prescribing the right home care products for that client. So, if they're using sunlight soap, you know, they need to be using a good body wash with some oils in it that's going to hydrate the skin. It's not going to strip it. So from the client's point of view, ensuring that they've done all hair removal prior to the service. No moisturizers, perfumes, deodorants, makeup is pretty standard. But yeah, they have that good body wash that won't strip the tan, using a tan extender that contains moisturizing agents as well as a small amount of DHA. And, you know, making sure that the client listens to you and your advice. So much so giving them a slip of paper to take home, you know, if they're a new client. You know, you need to rinse at 3 hours. That rinse with our liquids, we always say a 10 to 20-second rinse. Rinse your legs first and then step under the stream of water, because otherwise you'll end up with dribble marks down your legs. And those sorts of things, you know, again, your client comes to you for a reason. They don't come to us anymore. They come to you, you know, and acknowledging that and showing your client your expertise, looking at their skin. Yeah.
Fantastic. So just to recap, 1, consultation imperative.
Yeah.
2, choosing the right liquid.
Correct.
3, the right rinse off time.
Yeah.
4, tan dry, which I want to pause on because it's a bloody godsend, and you know it's my favorite product. So for those who don't know, it's once you're all sticky and you've had your spray tan, or even you're doing a tan at home, tan dry is a blend of kale and clays and different minerals that you actually brush on like foundation, I guess, brush onto your body, which then kind of soaks in. It doesn't have that stinky tan smell. It actually activates your tan faster and a little bit darker. So it's so cool. It's the best retail product ever.
Thank you. Yeah, we sell truckloads of it. Absolutely, truckloads of it. And once you've had tan dry at the end of your service, honestly, like the feedback we're getting from partners is, oh my God, clients are like, once they've had it, they will never not have it after their service.
Because that used to be me. I get my tan about 20 minutes down the road from me. Yeah. And I go there and I get it. And of course, now I live in Queensland, so it's always hot and I'm always sweaty and gross. And then I'm driving home looking like a wild little Chico baby in my tan dress, but then my arms are up, I've got the air con on. And now that I have tan dry, and this is not sponsored, of course, but I am obsessed because I can actually go home and even sneak on the way home and get a bit of chocky, so that when I go home that night and I just lounge in my tan and eat chocolate, it's awesome.
Yeah, look, it was supposed to be due for release at the end of August last year. Unfortunately, with Dad, everything got held up. But that's cool because to release a new product for us is a truckload of money again, but takes a lot of time and energy, you know, from socials through to website, everything. But it's actually amazing. Like, I had to come up with something. Someone was saying, oh, you know, I feel so wet. And with the medication I'm on, I actually have hot flushes and everything like that. So I get quite sweaty. And so we were talking to a chemist about it, and we got a couple of things manufactured, and this really nails it. So it's got a ZMA starch in it, French pink argile clay, and Moroccan lava clay or gasol clay, and rose oil. So the gasol clay actually absorbs. That's the absorber, along with the French pink. And it's a beautiful nude colour, so it's not, you're not going to look ghostly white or anything like that when you apply it. So it's absolutely incredible. Really, really incredible. Now, I actually had a tan. I had a knee operation a couple of weeks ago, as you know, and I used souffle tanning mousse on myself, and I was like, oh, why do I feel so wet? And I was like, oh, shit, I didn't put any tan dry on. Raced back in, put some on, and instantly felt so much better. So, yeah. And it's great. Salon partners are charging more for the service. So, works really, really well.
Perfect. And so tip 5 and tip 6 is home care, and then instructions. And I've loved that you've said instructions and writing it down on a piece of paper or having it printed somewhere. I think that is something that just extends your customer service. There's so many tips and tricks and how to wash and when to sleep in it, and when I do wash, what am I washing with and what am I moisturizing with, you know? And for me as a client, I go home and I'm like, oh shit, did she say 2 hours or 4 hours? I don't know. Am I supposed to sleep in it? Who knows? I'll just sleep in it anyway, you know? And I think if we just, you know, if we wrote that down for a client, or even, you know, maybe now be a bit more technological and send it to them in a text message or an email, like that just takes your customer service level to a whole new level.
Exactly. And you then, your salon is first and foremost in their mind next time they want to have a tan.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm wondering if you ever imagined when you very first started all those years ago that Minx would look like what it does today.
No way. No way. Look, we've come such a long way, and you know, as I said earlier, you know, sometimes we look back and laugh, but you know what? It's brought us to where we are now. Yeah, there have been tears and tantrums along the way, and you know, the big doubt monster rears its head every now and then, and you've just got to put your big girl pants on and just go out and get them. You just have to, you know. In regards to actual product, you know, evolution or involvement, or you know, it's been a beautiful thing to see. We do look back and see what we did and how we can improve going forward constantly. You know, in the beginning, I said to my husband, I want to walk past a salon. I want to see our products in there. You know, that's when I know we have achieved what we set out to do. Now we've got over 1,000 salon partners, and yet that still happens. It still brings a tear to my eye. I get teary just talking about it. You know, my heart flutters when I walk past a salon and see our products in there. Or I get a call from a client saying, listen, I've moved from Northern Territory to South Australia. I can't use anything else. Where can I get a Minx tan? You know, it's lovely. You know, I'm sitting here with tears in my eyes. Going forward, you know, like we're constantly looking ahead to developing new products and reinventing our branding to stay current. You know, so every couple of years we change our look, and it works really well for us and for our partners. Clients get excited about it again. Branding is such a massive part of any business, and I often say to partners, you know, hang on a minute, you are your brand, not your staff, not the products on your shelf. They just complement your business. It's you. Your brand is the crux of your business, and that's you. So grow with it and evolve with it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to ask you what was one of the biggest lessons you've learned, but you've already shared so many lessons with us. I'm wondering,
so many.
what would be your advice perhaps to other business owners out there, I guess, B2B and B2C, if you could have your time again, if you could share with them anything that you've learned?
Yeah, look, there's so many. There is. And most of those lessons have been learned the hard way too. And I think sometimes that's the best way. You know, one of them is not everyone's going to like you. You know, for some people, for whatever reason, don't like me, you know, and that's cool. They don't know me. They haven't tried to get to know me. So I guess that does hurt. You know, I've been told.
Who doesn't like you? I'm coming for them.
And, you know, I've been told by other businesses that I'm an embarrassment, I'm not professional, and, you know, the list goes on. And look, I piss people off, and you know what? That's okay. I piss you off. I don't care. Watch me piss you off even more, you know. So the point with that one is, you know, try not to take it to heart. We still do because we're human, but try not to take it to heart. Another one is, you know, I'm an oversharer. recently, for example, I discovered that a training manual I'd spent 6 months writing had been gifted by someone I trusted to a new private label company.
No.
Yeah, this document was like friggin' 200 pages long. Lesson here, keep all your intellectual property really close. Third, know your numbers, set your intention and goals, but know your numbers along the way. See how you're growing, see what works and what doesn't. And if it doesn't, get rid of it. Don't make an emotional decision with it. Make a decision with your head, look at your numbers weekly. And lastly, I would say again, branding is a massive, massive part of any business. I learned early on that it's not necessarily just what I like the colors that I like and that sort of thing. It has to appeal to a lot of people. Back in the day, we had to pay people to do our website and changes and artwork, and no one ever saw what I saw. We had to learn how to do everything ourselves, and not that that's the right way for some people to go. Not everyone has time or the access to resources, but it was for us. We spent an obscene amount of money on designers and things like that. They'd listen to the brief and still do what they thought. But so we literally do everything in-house now. We do website, labels, product development, social, everything. You name it, we do it. So yeah, keep across. So my point with that is keep across what you can, and with the resources that you have, try and learn everything, a little bit of everything in your business.
That's a huge one. I think it's very easy to outsource things, and I was actually working with one of my mentoring clients the other day. Outsourced her whole entire website because she didn't know, as many business owners don't know about websites, and unfortunately was taken for a ride and lost a whole lot of money. And I think it's one thing to not know it, it's another thing to learn. But that's exactly what we're here for, beauty industry, because in our group there are people who I know personally can create your website or can create your social media content, can create labels for you and branding and absolutely everything like that, because I want people to find the right people. I like that business owner. I don't want people to be wasting thousands of dollars on, collateral and websites for them to only not ever end up with a bloody tangible website at all. And I guess that's why our influence is quite unique, because people know in our community and in our space that I'm not going to recommend anybody who doesn't have the right intentions and doesn't serve the industry with the sole purpose of helping build that community and helping small business owners actually get that support from people that they need. So I guess for our audience, if you feel like maybe you do want to outsource something and you can't do it yourself, we're not saying do everything yourself by all means. You've got to find that fine balance. But if you do want to outsource, please ask in our community, even if it's a lawyer or an accountant. Like, we've got so many cool people in there who and trust. But I guess one running theme for you, Monica, that I took out of the biggest lessons was to really be proactive rather than reactive, and I guess factual rather than emotional. And as you said, that's so hard because we're women and we put our all into this, and being in the industry that we're in, we're kinetic and we're nurturers and we're lovers. But it really, when I see therapists being super reactive and they call me and they go, Tamara, my business owner's doing this, or vice versa, when business owners call me and go, that's it, I'm ready to fire my whole team, sometimes we actually have to just sit and I never make a decision straight away. I always go and I'll sleep on it, and I'll pull out our 5 values and go, okay, how does this serve us and how can we best move forward with this? And I guess that's something that really stuck out to me from what you were saying there and what you had learned.
And I think planning a lot goes into it as well. Get yourself a big planner, hang it on the wall, work out, look at your numbers, work out what worked well last year, in terms of seasonal things, and plan it out, have a team meeting, go, okay, August, September, we really need to start, obviously, smashing the tanning because people start booking in, there's races, formals, everything like that. So concentrate your focus onto that, and if you set aside, even with social media tomorrow, you set aside a Friday afternoon, that's what I do, plan the whole week in advance, set it up through an app, and hey presto, it just automatically posts. You've still got that reach, and those sorts of things. So it's all planning as well. Yeah,
absolutely. And I love what you've said there about, if something's worked well for you, do it
Yeah.
again. I've worked with 3 of, I would now say, almost the largest beauty businesses in the Australian beauty industry. And
Wow.
that's exactly what they did. Every single time something worked well, right, okay, next quarter, we're repeating that. So, for example, in Doda Spa, everybody knows that I've worked for them. You will see every single year, at least twice a year for the whole month, they'll do 20% off their skincare because it goes bananas. They're not going, oh, what can we do for October? Like, they're very strategic. And that's the same as well for the laser companies that I've worked for. You will always see a $39 microdermabrasion because it went so well, So planning is just huge, absolutely huge. And I know it takes some time, but you will save more time when you plan, which is quite funny.
Yeah. And as you said, you're being proactive, not reactive. You're not on season in September going, shit, what are we going to do for Melbourne Cup? Or what have the companies, like we've already completed Christmas. Christmas is done. They're just being made at the moment. So that was, where are we now? July. That was signed off in, pretty much April, May. But that's what we've got to do because seasons are coming earlier. People are, doing things throughout the year a lot earlier now. So, and if you look at what worked well, go back and enhance it. Go, right, what can we add on to that to make it even better?
Amazing. And I think we'll finish on that note. Monica, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm a big fan of the product, as you can already know and tell.
Thank you.
And I so hope that everyone listening is able to have a little look at the Minx Tanning and Bronzing Cosmetics pages on social media. Do you want to just pop them in? What are they? If they wanted to head there and have a little look.
Yeah, our website is all the W's .missmbyminx.com.au. Our socials are exactly the same. So it's pretty simple. And if anyone ever wants me directly, it's missm@missmbyminx.com.au. I think I covered everything.
Amazing. You are going to get some spray tanning questions come through there.
All good. Yeah, all good. Happy to help.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Monica, for
thanks so much, Tamara.
Can you now see why I needed to bring Monica to your ears? She's larger than life, one of those people that somehow makes everyone in the room feel special when she talks to them, a unique human being. It speaks volumes of Monica's character that even though she's gone through more ups and downs than a roller coaster at Movie World, she still manages to have a beaming smile on her face and is constantly finding the lighter side of life. If there's anything I've learned from Monica is that you have to give it your all, no matter anyone else's beliefs or stories, because you are the only person who is accountable for your life and how it turns out. As always, we're blessed to have your ears tuned in to another episode of the Beauty Industry podcast. I'm assuming you know where to go by now, but if you're new to the podcast, hello. You can visit us across all of the social media channels at Beauty Industry, and you'll find myself at Tamara Shaw Reid. And if you feel so kind to have a little spare time up your sleeve, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so that you get notifications when we drop a new episode. And one more thing, while I'm shamelessly asking you to do things, head on over and review and rate our podcast if you love it, because it tells me how much you are loving the content that we put out and makes more people hear and see our message. That's all for today. Until next time, stay connected.